Welcome to the January 5th, 2023 Architectural Review Board meeting. I'd like to wish my fellow board members, everybody here tonight, and everybody watching a Happy New Year. Margaret, can you call to order, please?
Actually, we should do the Pledge of Allegiance first.
Okay.
Then-
I'm reading your notes. You have.
No, the next one, pledge is second.
Oh, okay. All right. Pledge of Allegiance.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Oh, yes, I apologize.
Hey, no,
I mixed
that's
up the
okay.
roll call and the call order. Margaret, can I ask you to do the roll call, please?
Absolutely. Enda McIntyre,
Here?
Carlos Garcia-Bo,
Here.
Jennifer Nemisek,
Here.
Silvio Luca.
Here.
Laura Raffiani will not be attending tonight, and so Edna McIntyre will be chairing the meeting in her place.
Okay. So with that being said, just to kind of go over a couple of sort of housekeeping issues, I think we're not able to approve the meeting minutes for June, October, or November of last year. We are, however, in a position to approve the meeting minutes for September, in which myself, Jennifer, and Carlos attended. Can we make a motion to approve the September 1st meeting minutes, 2022?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Okay, so those meeting minutes have been approved. We have two items that have been adjourned. I guess they've been adjourned from ZBA review, so obviously we're not in a position to review them. They are application number 22-38, located at 54 Stratford Road, and application 22-42, located at 883 California Road. So that being said, we have three applications on front of us this evening. The first, application number 22-40, located at 80 Webster Road. If we can ask the applicant and their team to come up to the podium and introduce themselves and take it away whenever you're ready.
Good evening, Michael Mastrogiacomo. I'm the design engineer for the project. I have the property owner with me as well here this evening. Excuse me. We were last here back in November, where we had a very different looking house. We went back, regrouped. I spoke with the owner. We went through everything, and we redesigned it as a modern European style home. So what we did is, again, a modern European style. We did a California stucco finish, some mixed white and gray brick veneer at the bottom with a darker California stucco band. This is a Spanish style roof, and we've created the windows to match the same architecture and to try to create consistency, which was not there at the last time we were here.
Okay. You want to kind of just maybe walk us through the other elevations and...
Sure. So again, looking at the front, this is the street view of the house. We have a single garage with garage door, front entry with transoms and side lights, and then the casement windows. All windows proposed tonight are casement windows. And then as we go counterclockwise around the house, so you have the right elevation, the same thing, we carried the stucco across. What I did was with the white brick, I returned it on both sides, so then you have a nice even flow. So as you're coming from both sides, you have that little bit of a return. Inside the front porch area, it's all brick all around, so when you look at the porch, you'll see that brick come through. And then as you circle around, again, we continue the California stucco around all sides.
Okay. Is it me, or do the second floor windows on the front elevation look narrow? Are they, what's the width of those windows? Are they sort of
They are close to,
narrow, or?
they're close to 30 inches. So in order to balance these windows, and since this area where the front porch and the entry porch and the garage stick forward, if we try to make these a little wider, it's going to interfere with roof lines. And since these are a little close to the edge, it's going to be a little, you're going to have a lot of room here and very little room on the sides up in this master bedroom area. So what we did is, since these are for looks, you know, we didn't make them too skinny, but these are about 30 inches or so wide, you know, close to 30 inches wide.
They made egress.
The egress windows are going to be on the side. So the side elevations, so on this side, these two are egress windows, and this bedroom has this window that's egress. So we have code-compliant windows on the side elevations.
Just have a question on the left elevation, the entryway, you're showing a round column in the front elevation, but it looks like it's brick on the side elevation.
For some reason in AutoCAD, the column that's supposed to be there did not print through. I don't
Oh,
know.
so we
I'm
run-
not sure why. It is a column there.
Okay.
Wrapped with AZAC.
Okay.
And then painted. I also handed out the material schedule.
What's the ceiling height on the first floor? 9 foot?
9 foot. So the front door entry is close
Are
to
the
8
window,
foot tall.
what's the height of the window heads on the first floor?
We,
6'8",
6'8".
7"?
Yeah, we usually put them at 6'8". We can mark them to be 7 feet if you want.
Well, I'm just thinking that the front the double casement should be the same window head as the front door.
Okay.
I think that because the space between that window head and the windowsill above, it just doesn't look correct to me.
Sure, we can
Or you could do
actually
a
make this
transom, you
taller.
could do a transom above it like you
Yeah.
did with the door.
Sure.
And the size, I guess I see the placement of the windows on the, you know, upper level on the front elevation, but the size of the windows is based on what, the furniture layout in the rooms, is that it? On the upper
A little bit was taken into account, the furniture layout, but it was also more taken into account the balancing of the outside of the actual aesthetics of the front elevation. That's how we typically do it. I'm not too concerned along the front of the house where furniture's gonna be. If we have to move something over in order to make things more symmetrical, so be it.
I don't think that a 6-inch wider window would affect anything aesthetically on the outside or the inside.
I'm okay with that.
If you think it needs that
Well, what do you
balancing.
think?
I think they should be wider because, I think they look narrow because they're tall,
Right.
because they go into the roof line. There must be a vaulted ceiling,
Right,
maybe.
like,
So make them closer to 3 foot.
I think so. I just think that they look very slender and very, you know, almost make the front elevation and even the back elevation, almost like they're, you know, they're slots.
Okay.
Like in a, in a castle's keep, so to speak, right? Like,
Okay.
I just think that 30 inches is not that wide when you have the frame. I'm not sure there's gonna be a tremendous amount of, daylight, so I think if you can, 3 feet, it gives you a little more, 6 inches, but, right, like, would you agree with
And
that?
all the rooms meet daylight,
Yeah. Everything meets light and vent.
Because the window's on the side, like, the window's on the
Right,
side.
you have extra windows on the side, so, the
But
master
I'm saying the
bedroom
window
has,
width on the side is what?
I think it's the same.
They're the same.
But don't they have
they're
to,
2.646, they're about 32 and a half inches by
for egress?
55.
Is there a minimum width for egress?
There is,
It's 5.7 square
5.7.
feet, so.
Okay.
And anything with a
Overall.
diamond shows that it's egress. Those are all egress windows. So they meet all the requirements.
Like I understand the two above the, the gabled roof over the garage. I think they are, it's not equal, but they have to be either side of that ridge line and in enough from the, the edge of the house on the right-hand side. But I just think that they look a little bit slender.
So we can make these a little wider, and I can shift these two a little closer together. I think by making them 6 inches wider and then shifting them 6 inches might give you a little bit more of a balance
I don't
as
think,
you're asking.
I don't think you need to shift them. I think you just, because you're only talking about the window will be as big as the AZAC trim, or whatever that is.
It's a stucco trim I
A
put
stucco,
around it, yeah.
Because you're only talking about 3 inches on both sides.
Right.
Yeah, listen, I think, I see when I looked at your roof plan and the elevation, because it's kind of hard to see with the with the ridge in that,
darkness, yeah.
in the rendering, but I do see how and why you laid them out. But again, my question initially was, is the width of the window driven by some sort of furniture layout on the inside? But I just think that,
From,
it's got more balance and more symmetry if
Sure.
you make the windows a little bit wider.
Yeah, we can make
And
them
I
a
agree
little
with
wider.
Silvio's comment where I think the ground floor window needs to be a little bit higher so that it's got some semblance to, the entry door.
Okay.
You show lighting on the back door. Are you going to have lighting in the front,
It'll be in the ceiling of the porch.
even over the garage?
Yeah, over the garage, we're gonna have it in the soffit coming down.
Okay.
And how are you proposing to treat those, the dormers, the roof on the windows as they return into the
So these will be metal roofing. It'll
Okay.
be a metal roofing.
standing seam or some
standing
sort of
seam side.
copper or something like
Yeah.
that?
Probably not fully standing seam because it doesn't blend in with it, but it'll be that kind of either copper or
Right.
standing seam, metal.
The gutters are aluminum or they're copper?
Aluminum. Aluminum, and then they'll be painted a dark gray.
Okay. So, well, we can certainly offer some more input and feedback. I'd like to make a motion to open application 22-40 located at 80 Webster Avenue to the public hearing. Do I have a second?
Second?
All in favor?
Aye.
Okay, any members of the community or audience here this evening would like to speak related to this application? Now is your chance. Anybody here? Going once, going twice? Okay, so that being the case, seeing there's nobody here, I'd like to make a motion to close the public hearing on this application. Do I have a second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Okay, the public hearing on application 22-40 is now closed. So do we have any other sort of comments on this? Do you have any samples of any of the finishes or colors or materials?
That was the material that I handed out.
This is this one here.
Okay,
Sort of all the textures and
okay,
the applications and the finishes.
all right.
What color is the garage door gonna be?
Again, the dark gray, it's gonna be, the garage doors are just gonna be white, and then it'll be painted on site to match. However, we keep a consistency with all the colors.
So the brick veneer, as part of your sort of tag number 5, where's that? Where's the brick
So-
veneer? Is that underneath the window?
Yes. So what it does is it goes underneath the window. It's the entire front entry porch along each side of the garage door, and it's returned on both sides.
Okay. Okay. Any issues regarding the site plan in terms of any,
At the last meeting, we did request and require that the applicant submit a landscape plan prepared and signed and sealed by a licensed landscape architect. The engineer did tell me that they've retained Anthony Zano, who's done landscape plans here before, but the plan isn't yet complete.
Okay.
So,
And where's the air conditioning is gonna go?
So we're figuring to put them right behind the basement stairs in this area here. And then it'll be all screened.
okay. Any other issues? Listen, I think it's certainly a marked improvement from what we saw a few months ago, right? Any other comments, Carol?
No, I'm good.
What about you, Jennifer?
I'm good.
Okay, so that being the case, I'd like to make a motion to approve application number 22-40 located at 80 Webster Road. Do we need to summarize what?
yes, just so that everyone's clear. So, subject to the 3 following conditions and make the front, the double casement windows on the front elevation on the first floor the same height as the front door, or put a transom over the window so that it's the same height as the front door transom, right? And then the width of the second floor windows on the front elevation should be widened to 3 feet. Did that apply to the windows on the back elevation as well?
I believe that's what was.
I
I
kinda
think it's in
think
your
so.
best interest to have the windows wider, to
Sure.
let more natural light in.
Widen them all to 3 feet.
And also, you should also consider all the window heads on the first floor being higher. Depends on, like, if your interior doors, everything should line up. So if your interior doors are 7 foot or 8 foot, your window head should be matched.
Sure.
Okay, so all window heads on the first floor should be higher, and just please have the landscape plan, submit that prior to the planning board meeting, or for the planning board meeting? Yes.
That's what we're shooting for, is before the
Okay.
planning board meeting. That, with the total package going to planning board.
Okay, all right, thank you.
So that's the 3,
Those are
right?
the-
Okay,
yes.
so just to reiterate, I'd like to make a motion to refer application 22-40 located at 80 Webster Road onto the planning board for their review and consideration. Do I have a second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Okay, this has been approved, so good luck. And
Thank you very much.
Thank you for your attention. Thank you. Okay. No problem. So, our next piece of business this evening is application number 22-16, Chow Restaurant. If the applicant can come up and introduce themselves and How you doing, Tom? Yeah, happy New Year to you.
So, good evening. My name is Tom Abilama, architect. I'm here also with Kasturi from my office. This project is in Chow Street, at Chow Restaurant, and really what we're doing is 2 levels of the project. It's on the outside, the patio, plus and adding a kitchen in the back. But anyway, Kasturi, she's going to talk about the project.
Okay, thank you. Good evening.
Good evening.
So I'm Kasturi Mohanty, and I work with Tom Abilama Architects. So we have a restaurant here that is existing, and so the features that are existing are the stone nib walls here and the stucco pillar and the railings and all the stucco area here and the railing here. What we are adding is only the aluminum framing that encloses the seating area, and that's done by a manufacturer called Bayard. And we are adding Nana walls to enclose it from weather. And the framing comes with a retractable ceiling. So the and we'll look at the pictures, as we go. But so this is the main addition in our project, and then we have like Tom mentioned, we have an addition to the kitchen in the back, which is here. So we go down 3 feet to enter and pass through to the main kitchen. So in plan, you'll see that's JR Albanese, and this is the, let's see, I have to wear my glasses, sorry. So the parking area is here, and we go to the back here, go down to the additional kitchen, and the area that is the patio is being added on the 2nd floor. So this is all existing except for the new addition, the kitchen, which is about 240 square feet. And the patio is about 540 square feet or 511 square feet and has about 100 seats. So this drawing is a detail of the addition to the kitchen with the work table and a sink area. Did you want to, Tom, did we want to go over the features? Where were the, so these are the, yeah.
We had some stucco in the front in here, in the kitchen, to be the same as the same of the rest of the building.
And then we have Anderson windows. These are awnings. And the door to line it up has to be about 8 feet high. So this is where, that's the plan of the existing porch, where we are adding the frame system with the nano walls.
This is the existing building here.
Yeah. So in 2013, our office had done this building. And so we've kept everything the same, except for let's see here.
So this is the existing building here, and this is the porch that we have on the first floor, and we had added, which is existing already for
The wood trellis,
pergola
yeah.
Right.
on top, as well as we have stucco everywhere and the stone. So it's really, we're gonna keep everything that's there and remove the trellis that we exist to provide what we have proposed for the metal design that we have, which is gonna look exactly what we're looking at right now with the glass in the front for the Nana walls, as well as the metal, the steel, metal on top of the film. And then we have the existing building all around here. So really, that's what mostly is we're doing with the metal around, with the glass around, with the windows indoor, because the existing lighting is around here, and the rest of the lighting is going to be inside, about 8 lights indoor. And this is really what we have. The building is right here, and across the street on a diagonal, that's another restaurant, and we have another one across the street, an existing restaurant, and these are the other buildings that we have.
And this was designed by our office as well,
And
which is right here,
on the bottom, yes.
diagonally across.
And then this is the inside of our project right now from White Plains coming down. And these are that's another restaurant, the corner, and then some other stores around everywhere. And then this is the view of our building for the existing trellis that we have. And this is that metal that we'd like to do, which is done in various places around the country. Place really, we have it in. And this is exactly what we're going to provide, the convertible roof on top. With added, we're going to put the glass on the first floor. And these are the Nana walls that we provide, that's the detail in here. And this is the bifold windows that shows in a window like that. And these are outside in the kitchen in the back with windows and doors, as well as railing. And this is about the stucco for the back of wall. And this is the black color that's we providing for the metal design. So that's where we are. Thank you.
So, I have a question. Is the second floor addition, is that like an all-season dining area?
See, right now, we know it's open outside,
Right.
and then that's why we try to provide things that can be used during the rainy day or in the other days. Then otherwise, we're going to have to open everything on the roof and as well as the windows. That's the reason why we have to have that.
So the intention is to make it a four-season space now?
Right.
Right now, it's just 2.5 seasons.
Exactly.
And how are you heating the space, you know?
The lighting, that's also we're providing in,
Heating.
yeah.
Heating.
Yeah. Yeah, all around, yes. In the back.
So regarding the Bayard group, this sort of open and close louvered type roof system, right? Like, is that a system that you've used before? Is it applicable to, you know, the environment, you know, we live in? Like, and again, I guess my question, you know, sort of reverts back to, is this a sort of a seasonal, you know, all-season addition?
Right. So I'd like to talk to you to Zef Deljavish, who's the owner, and he likes the situation that we worked on it actually design, and then really what we. So now what happened?
I use it now 40 days a year.
Zeph, can you take the microphone and just state your name for the record as well?
See,
Thank
the
you.
reason why I now use it 40 days a year. When it rains, can use it. If it's windy up there, can use it. If it's up high, it's always windy, to be honest with you. If it gets cold, I use it from June, July. In August, it's very hot up there. And when September comes, daytime, barely anybody comes besides weekends. And weekends, you can use it in September. It gets too cold. Honestly, I don't really need, I have plenty of room inside. Oh, but that place, honestly, I made a mistake in beginning. I should have done this from the beginning. It's more or less it's useless. Especially when it's up. If it's lower, it'll be a little bit different. It's up there, it's windy, and when it's hot, it's very hot up there.
Right.
And I don't want to, I'm going to speak for you if you don't mind. It is intended to be used all year round, and it's considered enclosed dining, and it was factored into the gross floor area for parking purposes, et cetera, because it has the louver. Actually, what the planning board saw had, I think, more of a hip roof. It wasn't the louvered roof like this, so they've modified it. But this, I believe, all of a sudden is becoming fairly popular. We have another restaurant that has proposed the same kind of roof because the outdoor dining has been so popular, and people kind of want to extend that as long as they can with some protections. But it definitely is intended to be used all year round, and then you can open it up to the extent that you can.
There's something else. I'm going to use it probably more, so I have plenty of space inside. Listen, I wish I can fool it every night what I have inside, but it's up there basically. It's 80% of the year is useless. Yes, I seen the system. They put it in Bucky Hill Country Club. They put it in place in Pleasantville. I saw it in Florida, and that was beautiful. And place in Southern Table in Pleasantville. The same people own Wooden Fire. They installed it last year. The same guy is doing this one.
Okay. Is there, again, I've seen it in warmer climates, but, you know, I'm assuming it's engineered for like a snow load?
Yes, I checked that. Up to 6 feet of snow, I was told by the engineer.
Okay.
That's what he said. The first question I asked him, the snow. We have a different one, it's like material. They're going to put that one first. He said that could be up to 2 feet of snow. So this is a little bit more money, but said it's a lot safer, it's more durable. He said up to 6 feet of snow.
That's a lot of snow.
I hope we're going to get, that's what he said to me.
That's
so.
Buffalo snow.
So actually, I saw a place in Saratoga, snow area, and they love it. Whether they can use it in the summer or the winter.
And in terms of, you know, water runoff, is it?
Has the, what do you call it, inside. He has the gutters through the pipes inside.
Okay.
It's going to be same line as now. It's going to go same from the roof to floor, it's exactly same line.
Okay.
I checked that one, I asked him that one, he has the gutters inside.
And I guess all the lighting is along the framework?
LED, yes, it's
Right.
all LED in frames. Is that here, all around in here, has all lighting.
I mean, you mentioned before that it gets very hot in there. Are you providing any provision for air conditioning
I
in
have
there?
the AC upstairs, or the room upstairs, I have a big door there.
Yeah,
I have a 9-ton unit up there.
So it would,
Absolutely, yes, yes.
take the load for that area.
If I can open the windows just a little bit, that's enough to get a little fresh, it gets air inside the summertime.
Okay.
And the check with my AC guy, the unit is big. I have a 9-ton unit, the room is small up there.
Okay. Okay, so, thank you very much, Zeph. I would like to make a motion to open the public hearing on application number 22-16, Chow Restaurant, located at 57 J.R. Albanese Place. Do I have a second?
Second,
All in favor?
Aye.
aye.
Okay, the public hearing is now open. Is there any members of the audience that would like to speak with regard to this application? Okay, a very quiet crowd for this application. So that being the case, I'd like to, I'd like to make a motion to close application 22-16. Do I have a second?
Second,
All in favor?
Aye.
Okay, the public hearing is now closed. So just sort of reading some of the cliff notes from some of the prior board's review. Do we have any sort of further comments on the architecture, the style, the appearance of what's being proposed in terms of, you know, this
And you're going,
addition?
I just have a quick question, I'm sorry, and, it's gonna be the gray color?
No,
It's a darker color.
It's a darker color.
I see it, quick.
Okay.
Okay.
So as the rendering, basically.
So this is a close match. And that's going to be the window frame.
And it's all an integrated system, these windows aren't a separate, it's all.
No, they are. That's a nano
sep-
wall.
Okay,
Nano
that's
wall.
what
That's a
I'm-
nano wall.
mm,
That's
okay.
similar to what's
Yeah, that's,
in Mickey's, right?
okay,
Like on the
yes.
front
All right,
openings on Mickey's.
This is for the rear, for the awning windows.
mhm.
I just wanted to-
So the stucco, so everything is kind of, the existing building,
Right, we're gonna keep the
Everything-
same color, the same as
Okay.
stucco. Yeah.
so everything's getting painted
Yeah.
all the same color. You come in, this is the units on top.
You just confused me when you said everything's getting painted the same color. What's getting painted the same color?
The existing building,
Is it going to
the,
match the dark color or
I
the
think that's what
rendering?
was said. Is that right?
Oh,
Is
but
there
the
two
rendering
colors?
showing it as white.
White.
No, the new stucco's gonna match the old stucco, and then this nano wall system and the trellis is gonna be a dark gray.
Yeah, so
Right,
it's
right.
going to look like the
Right.
rendering.
Right, but I'm talking about the existing structure with the two gables,
In the-
right?
Yeah,
The existing restaurant.
Right.
What color is that?
that's the same color that we have, the stucco that we have along here, as well in here, as well going all the way around with the new kitchen.
Okay, because it looks different. I guess that's just the shading
that's
on
the-
your,
Yeah.
okay, all right. But everything's going to get sort of refreshed and repainted white?
Yes.
Okay. So you kind of have this cube structure, which is different to the existing, which I think it's different enough that it's not too different. I think it's different enough that it's sort of,
I have a question. The red entryway, that's the new, no,
This
the
is-
new on the side. There's a canopy.
And here,
Top drawer, the top
Left.
left, yeah. That is, what is that?
no, this is existing, the
that's
awning.
existing.
The orange one, yeah, that's the color, it's baked in there, yeah. That's an existing one.
right, that's existing structure to remain.
Is there a drawing, A2?
I'm sorry?
consider drawing A2. We have A1 and then A3.
It skips, go to A3.
No, there's no A2, no.
No, A2? Okay, because your sections are referring to A2.
Sorry about that.
Yes, all your sections are referring to drawing A2.
Closed.
That's true, but you should really be discussing it out loud.
So the renderings kind of show it, you know, more in this sort of open, airy.
Right. Which will end up looking as
You're-
much as we can.
Pardon me?
But, you know, 180 of the days of it's going to be open, and then you can close it for the rest of it. That's, I believe.
But I think, and again, I think you said it, Jeff, I think the intention and the hope is that, you know, this is an all-season space, and it's going to be, you know, you're going to see it sort of more closed than open in sort of spring and sort of maybe September or October, right? Like, I think-
Maybe semi-closed like in September, October, it's still not that cold, but thing is like, if it's little, those windows gonna be open most of the, I mean, from June to about September, yes. It's gonna be open.
because the nano wall, it's like an accordion wall, like it folds back.
Yes, full,
right?
like pockets
So-
doors.
Sometimes they will fold or they can close.
Yes.
Right. Are they going to open center split, or are they all going
Center
to?
split, yes, center split, yes.
Okay.
Center split, yes.
And this louvered roof system, are you going to be able to see that at all from the street level, or is everything
No, you can't see the
buried?
street level, you can't see it, no.
So everything is going to be buried
It's
within
buried.
the upper
It's buried,
sort of
yes. Up there,
transom?
you can't see on the street, nothing, no, no. Actually, you can see nothing, we have it in vehicle, and you can see nothing from the sides. Only if you're under, you can see it.
From the bottom, you can see it.
Okay. Any other comments from,
I'm good.
so no other air conditioning, nothing else going on the roof of this building?
No, no.
In terms of the kitchen, is there any other, you know, sort of kitchen exhaust components?
No, it's not gonna be, the kitchen line is where it is. It's gonna stay there. Notice it's very tiny kitchen, and like it's about 12 feet wide in the back kitchen. And honestly, I don't know how I did it for so long. So I'm not gonna have no stoves, no kitchen line, no, really, everything's in there. Just more like a prep area.
Okay. Okay,
You have access to that kitchen from the existing kitchen, right?
It's gonna be added to existing kitchen, yes. It's gonna push back to 6 feet, I think.
Yeah.
so do we have any other comments from any of my colleagues up here on the board? Silvio?
The only thing that I might consider, it doesn't have to be, but because the new structure is very modern and it has that French gray color, I would like to see that French color tied into something else. So I was actually considering that the red asphalt shingle roof on the front of the building,
This here?
yeah, should be maybe a French gray standing seam roof.
Matching this one?
Yeah, so it'll kind of makes that structure look like it continues in a sense. That's my opinion.
Yeah, absolutely, absolutely. I think that'll look nice.
I don't know
think.
if the red is really the signature
Yes.
color, because everybody knows Charles and everybody knows that red roof, at least I do. I'm just trying to tie
Been
the,
there 100 years.
I'm trying to tie the new structure
No, I think
to
that-
the
actually-
home, because Charles kind of reads residential, right? So I think if you get rid of the red asphalt shingle roof and you make it a French gray standing seam roof, it'll make it a little bit more modern, which will match the new structure you're doing.
That's fine. That's easy. He loves to spend my money, Silvio.
Yeah, exactly.
I'm sorry.
It's easy.
No, I think that'll look nice, written down.
Oh, so this is what you're,
No, that, just the roof.
no, I kind of, yeah. So just the
red.
front
Yeah.
and the, like the,
I was originally
ridges.
thinking that, because
Yeah.
bring it all the way
same one,
across,
like
but.
those are-
no, I kind of like
It's not
the, I
necessary.
like the modern,
Right.
Yeah,
you know,
yeah,
sort of cubist addition to this. I think it's
agree.
dissimilar enough that it kind of gives it a little sort of, you know, character.
But I think the gray roof makes a big difference.
Yeah, because it ties
It
it all
ties it in.
together. Yeah.
So, listen, I think if that's a concession that you would be willing to consider, I think ultimately it's going to make the project better
done deal.
and tie it in. There you go, that's very, very, very conciliatory on your behalf. So, that being the case, do you want to sort of just,
I mean, the only condition of approval or recommendation was to change the existing red roof to the French gray standing seam roof to match the proposed addition. That was the only condition. So you're going to refer to the planning board with recommendation to approve, subject to this condition.
right, so that being the case, I would like to make a motion to move this application on to the planning board for their review and consideration, this application being application number 22-16. Do I have a second?
Second?
All in favor?
Aye.
Very good. Thank you. Well, thank you very much. Happy New Year to you. Thank you very much. Good luck. Don't forget your presentation board here.
Just for the people that are,
Do they know that
I just
it's
want to,
adjourned?
oh, no, they're here for 5 Ray
That's what
Place.
5 Ray probably.
So,
Those are all the neighbors and
Yeah,
all the
yeah.
buildings, different brick building.
are you here for 5 Ray Place? Here, hold on.
Blocking my view of Ted Herman. I originally was thinking putting.
Yes.
Because the red, it always just.
Yeah, no, that was a good idea. Yeah. Didn't it get stuck in here like that for a while? I guess I should go to the water.
Well, that's true, because everything, all the utilities, and now they can't, and they went into bring up all these lines.
Final session.
Can you see it?
That's not our purview.
Some modifications.
It looks like they're changing the roof, the material.
Yeah.
And then maybe the cornice to ephes.
Yeah.
What was the cornice originally? Was it cast stone?
I think that very simple suggestion makes a world of
Yeah.
difference. That red roof is
It just
driving me
tied it
crazy.
in.
But
Yes.
Silvio's on the board.
Yeah, I know.
I'm going on zoning next.
Yeah,
And I
yeah.
liked it, I like it better than tying the roof into the.
Yeah, no, I agree.
Yeah, yeah,
And
definitely.
I think that kind
That'll make
of
a
little
big
addition, I
difference.
think it's kind of,
It'll update it.
yeah.
Yeah, yeah.
not, you know,
It'll
not
update the
sold
whole
on the, you know, whether
I'm
that,
surprised they never changed that red roof.
yeah. Yeah, he was pretty willing to
Yes,
spend the money to do that.
pretty successful.
God bless. Okay. Our next item on the agenda is application number 22-47, located at 5 Ray Place. The applicant can come to the podium, introduce themselves, and take it away.
Hi, my name is John Anastasiou. I'm with Washour Architects, and I'm here representing Augustus Development. The purpose of our attendance here, Mr. Chairman and members of the board, is for amended architectural review board review. The project, as you know, was previously approved, but we made some minor changes to the facade, and I just want to take the opportunity to review them with you.
This is.
That's where you saw that because.
So what I ended up bringing here tonight is what was submitted, and part of the submission includes what was previously approved. In addition to that, I brought the prior sample board just to show what was approved and what's currently being proposed as a change. This drawing here, which is our cover sheet for the submitted materials, includes the front elevation of the current view of the building. Essentially, the design is the same. The majority of the materials are the same. The one change that we're proposing is in the material of the roofing. What was previously submitted was a metallic polygonal shaped shingle.
Right.
And now we're proposing a architectural grade asphalt shingle that has some truncated design there to sort of replicate what was previously submitted. That's the major material change. In addition to that, there was a change in the mechanical system of the building. And because of that, on the positive side, we've been able to eliminate all the condenser units that are on the roof. We're going with a more energy efficient unit. And with that, we include louvers over the windows. They're 8 inches in diameter. It's an APACA unit.
It's a what?
and APACA is the name of the manufacturer.
Okay. So is it like, so you said, well, go ahead, continue, I'm sorry, I'm not looking to stop you.
The unit is self-contained, so the condenser is within the unit. That's why we were able to eliminate the condensers that are up on the roof. And it's a more energy efficient model. So within each space, each bedroom and the living room space is going to have its own unit, and it gets installed above the window. And that the unit comes with the 2 louvers.
That's heating and cooling?
I'm sorry?
It's heating and cooling or just cooling?
Both heating and cooling.
So is it like a refrigerant system? Is there
Like a
like
heat pump system?
Heat pump, and it's a self-contained condenser within it. In addition to that, just to compare to what was previously submitted and approved and what the current proposal has, we eliminated the elevator bulkhead, and we also eliminated one of the stair bulkheads. So now the roof line is slightly lower because of the reduction of the bulkhead from the stair and the elevator. It's a more streamlined look. My opinion, a little bit more cleaner and elegant looking. It got simplified because we eliminated the stair bulkhead.
Will residents still have access to their roof? I believe the last time we spoke, you said they were going to have some kind of access to the roof.
The access is really going to be more for maintenance purposes,
And not for recreation.
not for
what the
recreation,
agreement
correct?
Not a green roof, but they were talking about seating.
It was, right?
Well, again, not really a green roof, it was more of an outdoor area for recreation,
right.
or for passive recreation.
All the good stuff.
The other materials are the same. The white that's indicated here, that's all still in AZAC. Just to note a difference from what was previously approved and what's currently proposed, the cornice here will now be done in ephes, a stucco system, in lieu of what was indicated before, which is a PVC trim. But the aesthetic, the look, the profile, everything's going to be identical. And then one last change from what was previously approved to what's currently proposed is we've eliminated the railings that were in front of some of the windows.
For reference, this is what the previous approval looked like. Without the final version of the rendering, had a darker color metallic roof. This shows it when it was previously a lighter color roof, which you can see as was mentioned. By the way, my name is Jaime Martinez. I'm a planner for the applicant, and I'm here. I know you needed that for the record, so I apologize. I should have said that earlier. So you can see here, this is that bulkhead that's been eliminated. And these are the metallic, the metal railings in front of the windows that have been eliminated. In addition to that, the changes are essentially, you know, the louvers, the small louvers that would be painted the exact color of the material that they're coming on top of. We were unable to get a copy of the louver. We asked for one to come in, but unfortunately we were unable to get it in time to bring to the meeting. That's why we have cut sheets.
Why is that louver above the window? Because it's in a drop ceiling?
Yeah,
The
so
system?
it's not a drop ceiling, but the equipment itself, the HVAC equipment itself, can be in a number of different places. So you can either put it on the wall, and it would come out the side of the wall, or it could come out from the ceiling.
Your ceiling mounted units?
Yeah, so the best location for the ceiling mounted ones, well, we felt for the vents, were to have it come out of the sort of the white AZEC here, right? That's not going to be universal that it'll come out there, but we're trying to minimize the look as much as possible. We thought that putting them in the ceiling was the best way to handle that, so.
Yeah, we took a look at the architecture, the layout of the rooms on the inside, and based on the size of the unit, and also being mindful of the way that the exterior is articulated with the pilasters and some of the returns and some of the elements coming forward in the elevation, we had to pick a location that would be the least obtrusive in the elevation and also worked with the interior. And that common denominator happens to be essentially above the window.
So I have a couple comments. Everything you eliminated was what I liked about this building. The metal diamond-shaped roof was one of my favorite things. The metalwork on the windows was my second favorite thing. And the crispness of the FIPON. So obviously, everything you've done is to bring the cost of this building considerably down. So that's why this is being done. The individual units for each apartment compared to a rooftop units. The grill, I just think looks, I don't know if I'm gonna notice it or not, but it just doesn't, in my opinion, if there's gonna be a grill outside, it should be a linear grill that's the same size of the window itself, not just a round 8-inch diameter over each. It's just making this building not what it should be.
There is a linear grill that you can get.
There is an option for a grill that has the two louvers within a rectangular element.
When I mean linear grill, I mean like the width of, let's say the width of the windows is two double hungs that's 5 feet long. The grill should be 5 feet long, so it matches, doesn't look like it was placed after the fact. And like, again, all the things, you know, my favorite part was that metallic clip
Scalloped
system roof. And that made this building stand out with the mansard roof. And now we're going to an asphalt shingle roof. And all the grill work changed twice, too.
Right.
Your first design, the grill work was much nicer, you simplified it, now you eliminated it. So, I mean, I don't like anything that was done, to be honest. I'm an architect, so I mean,
And I think to that point, we did spend some, you know,
A lot of
significant time in looking at it the first time, commenting on it, you guys coming back, and, you know, addressing some of those initial concerns we had in terms of the architecture and, you know, the aesthetic, and to my colleague's point, you know, those specific items are now no longer part of the project. And, you know, I, you know, have worked in the construction and sort of design field for many, many years, and these vents look like something, certainly not, you know, like PTAC unit vents or something you would see on the facade of a building. Certainly a building, you know, as nice as this was, it almost looks like it's some sort of a dryer vent on, you know, an obscure elevation of a building. And I think as an architect, I think you would have to agree that, you know, this is not becoming to you know, this, you know, this elevation and this, you know, style of building that, you know, was initially designed. I think it's not in keeping with the initial design, and certainly, you know, what I've seen and certainly in my experience. This is not something I've really seen before. And I think it's out of place. And I would agree. I think the scalloped, you know, roof gave this tremendous amount of character, and, you know, the railings on the windows, like, is all of this, like, what's driving all of these? Is it all value engineering, just looking to reduce cost?
Well, regarding the louvers, I think one thing that we can do is maybe go back to the manufacturer and see if they offer some kind of option to work within more of a linear geometry as opposed to what's shown here. We did.
I want to jump in there a little bit. So the challenge with these units, and these
Again, you need to speak in the microphone because we have a stenographer that takes.
Sorry, yeah, so these are highly efficient units, right? So part of the problem with having any sort of heating AC system that's in the roof is that you need to get refrigerant lines down. You have to vent throughout the property, and that does come at a cost. I'm sure everybody here that if you are in the business, then you know that construction costs have gone up significantly over the past few years. That's a reality I think that every builder is dealing with. And so we're not trying to, you know, produce any sort of product here that's out of character with the neighborhood and with the community. If you look at every single property that's adjacent to this, the CVS, the residential building on the corner of Brook and Ray, the Enclave that's right across the street from us, all of them have asphalt roofs. 100% of them have a sort of dark gray asphalt roof that is that color, if not quite as nice of an architectural style. We do understand that, like, best case scenario, if we could have the nicest metallic roof, we'd love to keep it, but unfortunately, costs being what they are, that was a consideration that we had to. The Afoca units are a little bit of a cost savings, but they're also just more sustainable. And I think that's an important piece to it. So there's no noisy condensing units on top of the roof anymore, which was, at least my understanding, was a concern. Part of the height of the building, the bulkhead that came out on the height of the building during the previous discussions with this was a part of the concern. So that bulkhead is gone. The height of the property is down. So that is, in certain level, trying to be consistent with the concerns that we heard. So specific to that, the Afoca units, the alternate options for us really are to essentially put something that would be lower, that would have to remove an entire panel of windows. And you could replace that. They do have a lot of examples where people have replaced the windows and created large louvers that are, you know, 2 feet high. That's really not the look that I think anybody wants to see here. So we're trying to make concessions, obviously, to something that makes more sense. That's how we landed at this one. So it wasn't without thought, where we said, oh, let's just put it wherever we can fit it. There was a lot of thought and consideration that went into trying to place those louvers. There are straight louvers, and I'm sure there's probably a way for us to architecturally make them look like they fit a little bit better. But there really is, other than putting up a mock louver for the run of the entire window, and just having those louvers sit within it, that's really kind of the only option that there is. I think we'd be open to that idea, some sort of mock louver, but moving it to another location and keeping those HVAC units would create all sorts of additional challenges that are not going to improve the building, right?
I'm not sure I agree with it, everything you said. Like, what you've just said is everything that's, driving this from a VE standpoint. So I just think that our role on this board is to review and sort of offer our comments and recommendations as to, what's presented to us. And this is probably the third time that we've seen it. And at the initial presentation, we offered feedback. You came back, and we at that point, we felt that was a good compromise. Now here we are, and we're probably, back, -2 at this stage, not even at 0. So I understand what you're saying, but this shouldn't be a compromise for this board, right? Because we want to make this building as nice as it can be, and as architecturally aesthetic and aesthetically pleasing as it can be. And I think what you're hearing is that it's what you're showing us is not necessarily resonating with some of these changes that you've made. And if 2 round ducts penetrating the facade of the building is the best you can come up with, then I would ask you to go back and revisit that.
Okay.
Well, if I may, in my opinion, I hear what you're all saying, and I would just like to take the opportunity to maybe have a little reset in terms of how we're viewing this. Because in my opinion, again, I wasn't at the prior approvals. I'm now involved with the project, hopefully when it gets into construction. And I would just like to offer that with what we've presented here, I feel that this is a very handsome and elegant building, even with the architectural grade asphalt shingles. I know we're looking at it through the lens of originally proposed metallic shingles, but even as you see it here, I think the composition, the materials, everything is complementary, and asphalt shingles are a roofing material. I hear what you're saying, it's not a metallic shingle. Regarding the louvers, I think what we can do is go back to the manufacturer and see if there's something else that they offer that has a little bit more of a rectilinear feel to it. Maybe that'll help working with a rectangular window as opposed to the round louver. But I do want to point out that we put a lot of effort into where these were placed. As you note, some of these corner units, they have 2 bedrooms. So we went to the effort of placing them so that they wouldn't be on a Ray Street elevation. So some of them are on the return, some of them are on the rear. We are very mindful of the aesthetic. It's a reality of the world that we're in right now, that we do have to take economics and availability of materials and all those issues into consideration. That's not to say that, you know, it takes away from your responsibility being the Architectural Review Board. But we are working, trying to come up with solutions that maintain the overall overriding elegance of the building, which I feel that we've done even with these substitutions.
Okay, I respect your opinion.
Thank you. That's all I could ask.
So, are you guys finished? I'd like to maybe give the public an opportunity to speak. I would like to make a motion to open the public hearing on application 22-47, 5 Ray Place. Do I have a second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Okay, so if we have any members of the public here this evening that would like to speak regarding this application, I would ask you to come up to the podium, introduce yourself, and say what you'd like to say. Anybody here?
Take the microphone.
Microphone, please. On the podium.
Hey, so I'm Sean Kama from 24 Ray Place. I will be looking at the construction the whole time from my patio. That's exactly where I live, directly across. I love that you called them out on the aesthetics of the building, which I really do appreciate. I really do appreciate that. And I do get that the economy is pretty hard, but, you know, I've owned an insurance company for the last 31 years. I deal with a ton of construction companies. I create the captive, the self-insured, I pay the claims, I see construction sites. Everybody has the best intentions at all time. But you really just scared me, because you just said that you have to bring your costs down in order to, you know, be able to make a profit on the building, because we've gone over this for, what, 2 years now? We hired an attorney. My concern is this, is that everyone knows where this building is, correct? It's the steepest slope ever. My son got his license 3 years ago, that big snowstorm. And I'm calling him, he's in, I think it was Acme at the time. And I said, I left a voice message, Brendan, please don't go down the hill. The brand new Jeep, he goes right into the wall right there. And that's all I keep on thinking about when this is going to be a structure that's going to be built. And again, this is all I deal with. Scalamandri Construction, I deal with all of them. Simone, you name it, I deal with all of them. I do the insurance for this and pay all the claims for anything that, any of the problems. The thought process that I have is what happens with the rock that is on this hill, because it is all rock. Is there going to be blasting done? They say there's not going to be blasting done, but of course there's going to be blasting done, right? How are you going to take this rock and get rid of it? What is going to happen with the vibration? Because we have a beautiful building at 24 Ray Place. I think it's been there since, what, 1986? We keep this place up, it's like unbelievable. The people that live there, the average age, 75. I mean, I think the attorney that's on the board, his mother lives on my floor, lives right next to me. I am so concerned and really nervous that the people that are walking up this block, because the Chico are my friends, these people actually do the insurance for them as well, is that when these people are coming up, coming down, coming out of this center, coming up, going up the hill, they can't get it done now. During Christmas, New Year's, Thanksgiving time, the cars were all stacked up down the hill. Nobody could get up, nobody could get down, the honking's going crazy. When there is construction going on, the only reason I came up here is I want to be on the record. I want you guys to really understand what's going to happen here. Whenever you decide to do this construction, there is going to be a problem with that rock and that CVS going down that hill and those people going down that hill, and there's no traffic light sitting there, and I read the protocols with the rock excavation. They're going to be doing different tests, with the vibrations, especially the vibrations of my building. What's going to happen with the vibrations in our building when all of a sudden there's a crack on there? Are you also going to maintain insurance for the buildings that are all around? Because there has to be a global insurance going on around there. I know you say you're going to take care of the claims, but you know how long these claims take to get paid? And you have to prove it at that time. What I'm saying is this: the building is going to be a handball court in front of us. We're never going to see the sun ever again. That's number one. That's a selfish way. But number two is the safety of this and being, you guys, you must know something about construction, right? Because you're on this board. You know what happens in construction with rock, especially in Westchester. This is not Long Island, right? This is not Connecticut. This is where all the rock is. To get rid of that rock, the vibrations that are going to go on there, they're going to have to blast. I cannot even believe we're going to go up this hill and you're going to go down this hill, and the Chico's is packed. It's the best store we have in Eastchester now. It's phenomenal. They do a great job of customer service as well. I want to be on the record, and I don't want to say it, but I'm going to say it. Something is going to happen, and then everybody, you're not even going to believe it's going to happen, because we had like 500 signatures, just the people at CVS going, what the hell, what are you talking about? Nobody even knows about this. They don't even know. I love Eastchester. It's a great place to live. I mean, you guys are great, very patient, and I'm glad you're so thorough. But remember, I said this. I've only been doing it. I didn't want to go into the insurance business. I wanted to be a women's professional soccer coach. But I'm telling you this, all I deal with are construction companies. This is all I deal with is at the end. Who gets hurt? What happens? What happened here? This guy fell into this, not 20 feet under, not 20 feet. That's what we insure. This is all I do for a living. That's the only reason why I'm here, because I just don't, this is going to be a nightmare. Thank you.
Thank you.
Hi, Pat Gabriel, 24 Ray Place. I just have 3 questions. You said that the bulkhead that's being taken off the roof is going to reduce the height. How much is it going to reduce the height by?
By a few feet.
Just a few feet?
Yeah, the stair bulkhead maybe by about 5 or 6 feet or so, and the elevator bulkhead probably by about 8 feet or so.
Okay. And you also mentioned that the louvers, that if it goes with the louvers like you have right now, they are not on the Ray Place side, they're on the other sides? The
They're
louvers.
on all 4 sides of the building.
Oh, so Ray Place side will have the louvers too on the windows.
I'm sorry.
Ray Place side will have the louvers on the windows too?
Yes,
Not on
we try to move them away from the Ray Place side, especially on units. If there was a unit at the corner, we were able to put them on.
No, just for those units, okay. And in the submission you put to the board, you said that there were 18 units, I thought. I thought there were 21 originally. Did that change?
Yes, there's a reduction of units to 18,
When did that happen?
maybe about a year ago.
Oh, so that's,
So-
that's brought to the board?
During the design phase, that's pretty common they were approved for 21 units, and the parking analysis and the traffic analysis was done on 21 units. They would not have been permitted to add units, but you can certainly decrease the number of units. And just as an example, the apartment building on Jackson Avenue, they proposed 117, were approved for 117, they constructed 115, just when they start doing the more detailed floor plans.
Okay, all right, that's all I wanted to know. Next.
My name is Michael Fasiglione, 43 Woodruff Avenue, a 62-year member of the North End of Eastchester. As a member of North Eastchester Civic Association, we were quite against this entire project. We thought that it was certainly an overstructure for our area. However, understanding that that's not your purview right now, my question is going to be directed towards the architectural situation. Basically, one of the questions was answered. The overall height of the building will be shortened, will be lowered a bit. My question is, the architect mentioned the fact that the elevator bulkhead will be removed, is that correct?
Prior, what was approved, it was demonstrating that the roof had access via the elevator.
Correct.
That is no longer the case. So therefore, a full story of an elevator bulkhead has been eliminated.
I see. So does that mean there will be, just to repeat myself, or to repeat what was said earlier, there will be no access to the roof by the residents? There will be no green space available? Because my understanding was that the green space was an integral part of the entire overlook of the entire building as a sort of an appeasement to the people who live right across, the enclave people who will be looking at this overbuilding, this structure. They said there would be a green space at the top area. Has that been removed?
My recollection and my understanding was that the applicant had proposed, again, it was not considered or called a green roof. It was considered an outdoor area or a terrace that people could sit. I think some residents of the enclave somewhat objected to that because of seeing people and activities up there. That will be something that they'll need to address with the planning board with regard to the elimination of that space, but it was never really thoroughly designed out. It was more of an understanding that there would be some accessible space for residents only within the building.
So therefore, I am correct in understanding that our understanding at the time was that there was going to be a green space.
That there was going to be rooftop
Rooftop,
access for
an
residents,
area.
yes, and that they're no longer proposing that.
Okay,
That's
understood.
correct.
So that change has been made, and it'll have to be addressed with the planning board at the time?
Yes.
Okay. Thank you. My question now addresses these louvers. I'm not quite sure. I've got a rendering of what they will look like. I'm not quite sure as to, number one, how many are there in this entire building, number one. And number two, where will they be positioned? Will they be above the windows? Will they be visible to the residents on Enclave, which are right across the road from them? And the next portion of that question is, will there be a noise factor to these louvers? If they're heating and air conditioning, there's some sort of a motor concept that is there, which will further upset the people that are living right across the road at the Enclave. So those are basically my three questions about the louvers. How many, where are they, and will there be a noise factor? So can those answers be given, or can those questions be answered?
I don't like anything with that.
Thank you.
You're very welcome. Thank you. The way that those units work, each bedroom and each living room needs its own unit. So therefore, above the window of each living room and each bedroom, there will be a unit, and each unit has 2 louvers. I could take you through each elevation to indicate where the louvers are located. I think you probably have access to the plans because they've been uploaded on the website.
Would that be 36, 18 units? Two and two unit is 36?
I'd have to calculate the number. I couldn't tell you right now how many actual louvers there would be.
So it's 18 times 4.
Two louvers for each unit, and
So 72.
some apartments will have more than one unit. So we could count, we could go count.
72 at the minimum.
But it will be,
In excess of 36.
they're about 10 inches.
72.
Yeah.
And where will they be?
John, can you
The
show on
louvers
the,
are right above the windows.
can you show them on the elevation?
Yes, yeah, let me.
Pull up the elevation.
Thank you. There will be no noise from it because that's just for air. But I might add that we've eliminated all the condensers that were on the roof, which would be a more likely source of noise than here. So overall, I think you'll experience a reduction of noise.
I'm not an engineer, and I'm sorry to talk for
The unit is in the apartment.
Okay, so it's an internal unit that is run through each separate apartment.
If I can give you an analogy, not a perfect analogy, you see that unit there? It's not exactly like that, because that has a separate condenser unit, which would have been, let's say, on a yard somewhere on a pad or up on a roof. But if you can envision something like this, probably smaller, it would be right up against the wall there, and there would be a connection to the outside with two louvers. So that's, the unit's on the inside.
Yeah, but how about condensation? They're gonna have these drip lines?
Where would they be?
Yeah, I'm not familiar with this, to be honest.
They would be right above the windows in each instance.
Demonstrate?
I can.
They're not on drawings.
You know, I'm getting in the range
Yeah, they're on the drawing.
72 to 78.
So if you look at the screen over there, this is the Ray Place elevation. So in this central area here, and again, these louvers are only where there are units. So the bottom two floors that have the parking, they're not going to have louvers, so it's just the top 3 floors. They're essentially above the windows in this line. Here's another 3 windows that are stacked, so the louvers would be above the window. They also occur here in the top floor. We're going to have the louver be the same color as the surrounding material to help them blend in with that surrounding color. If you note, on the corner here and on this corner, there are no louvers because this corner unit here has windows on the adjacent elevation. So to minimize the amount of louvers on Ray Place, we place those on the other elevations.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
So these louvers, right, are these diffusers, are they like for heat, it's like exhaust, it's heat dissipation and like fresh air intake? Is that the reasoning for 2 of these?
Not an engineer. I don't exactly know. I think one is for airflow.
Right.
So,
You probably need fresh air intake, right?
So it's basically like a direct vent?
Well,
There's two,
The heat pump system, so it has ER intake and it has exhaust.
so my question, the next question is gonna be, besides aesthetics, is, am I gonna see condensation or steam? Or anything dripping down the elevation? So it's not like a direct vent, boiler, let's say, that you see the steam actually coming out.
I'm sorry, can you say that again? I
It's not
apologize.
it's not like a direct vent boiler when you actually see. there's a
Oh,
fresh-
no, not at all, not at all. Obviously, any air blowing against anything is gonna make a little bit of noise. These are not for making noise. The condensers that you would have in a traditional HVAC unit on top, and these were gonna have their own individual condensers per unit.
It's like
Those
a-
are all
it's like-
eliminated now.
It's like a hotel.
Yeah, so those are gone from the roof. Those do make noise.
And these are all electric, so there's no combustion involved. So I don't believe that there's exhaust in that sense of the word. I think
Right.
this is a little bit more airflow.
Well, I think by code, you need fresh air intake, right? To bring fresh air into the space. And I'm assuming the other one, if you have 2, one's for heat dissipation and the other one's probably for fresh air intake. That's what I would assume.
I just didn't want to make it seem as if one is exhaust in the sense as if it's fossil fuels are involved in combustion. It's not like that. This is more airflow, intake and outtake.
Right. And
I'm sorry, Enda.
you said there's none on the first floor, right, or the second floor? There's none,
There aren't any on the first floor or on the second floor. That's where the parking is.
okay.
So these are only where there are units on the 3rd, 4th, and 5th floors.
Okay.
They are paintable, these louvers, so they will be painted the color, the exact color of the brick material
Can you get them in the colors, or is,
No, they're paintable, so they don't come produced in any specific colors except for white.
And just for my own edification, who's the, do you know offhand, the air conditioning brand or manufacturer?
Apoca.
E-Folk, that's on the attachment? This is just
I think it's
this is the stuff that's from
EPHOCA.
their website.
Yeah.
E-Folk?
Is it Efoca or is it Efoca? Yeah.
Apoca, Apaca.
I'm sorry.
I think, we're all saying it like wrong probably. It's a system that's, you know, originally coming out of Europe, and one of the things that really attracted us to this when we were looking at it, obviously beyond the fact that it's a very highly, high-functioning system, is they had it on sort of these old, you know, Italian castles. They have images of them, and they show how they are. They're very non-disruptive looking.
it does say right here, the entire assembly is delivered in any custom color in baked enamel factory finish.
That's good.
So you can get the color you want.
Okay, so
All right.
I apologize. We've
Yeah.
been reading that it can be painted, so.
Our intent is to match the adjoining color.
Okay, anybody else?
Yes, I have an issue with the roof, and I know you said there's other asphalt roofs. I understand that, but they're not mansard roofs with asphalt. And the mansard roof is what's giving this building character, and you're removing that. And you're sandwiching it by putting this little hat on the building. And I don't think that's a great color. The last time we had the metal roof, it was a different tone, so it matched the building a lot better. This is a totally different color and material, which has a different sheen. So it doesn't serve any aesthetic purpose anymore.
So this is the existing material. And we did look at a couple of different kinds of materials when we were trying to think about this. We originally looked at this carriage house style and this Highland slate. From a distance, these two both have sort of similar slate effect. As it happens, we have a property. It's a luxury apartment building that we also have an also in Pleasantville right now that has a mansard roof, just like this, that has this asphalt shingle.
The shape of the original tile, shingle, metal tile, was that shape, or was it like a diamond?
It was a diamond.
It wasn't a diamond shape?
Dragon scale style,
Yeah.
and there's not a, you know, I don't think we were able to find a direct analog. So we
Right.
wanted to find something that looked good. But we're not changing the shape of the roof.
I know.
We're only talking about the material of the roof.
But the metal roof was a diamond shape, and that, you have to admit, metal has a sheen, and has a different finish, and it has a different aesthetic than that.
It was a richer.
It was a richer
sort of
looking-
more chateau-y kind of, you know.
It has
Right.
more dimension as well.
We're not arguing that it's a different material. We're saying that we're proposing this, and we're trying to choose a shape that somewhat resembles the original diamond shaped of the metal shingle. So these have a little bit of angular articulation. You know, we can go with the black pearl there that has a little bit of a speckled look to it. So imagine this shape with this color here, because there are little speckles in there that might add a little reflection to it, rather than being a solid matte black. The shapes are all staying the same. The mansard is still there. Everything else is the same. It's just a material change. I'm not minimizing it. I'm saying we didn't change the shape of the mansard at all.
There are other colorations. Again, we picked a color that we thought that made sense. There are other, colors that come to a different level and approximation.
So is the black granite the darkest color?
Black granite is the color that we have here. It is not necessarily, it is kind of the darkest color. So The other options here are, for this one, are this smoky quartz, New England slate, fieldstone, which are,
Is the black granite the bottom left?
black granite is the one here at the bottom, it's the darkest.
That's labeled black granite.
It's gonna just read like a black sheet, because
Yes.
you can't see the applied shadow line.
If you like smoky quartz, I think that we 100% respect your opinion, we'll change it to smoky quartz.
Did you want to comment?
Yeah, I was
Yeah,
going to say,
let's-
can we
let's-
continue
yeah.
with the public
Thank you,
hearing, and
yeah.
then you can get back to some of the
just wanted to
details?
be-
Thank
Yeah.
you.
Thank you.
My name is Joan Silver. I'm a new owner at the Enclave. My question is, and I don't know if it was, since I'm new, I don't know what went on at all the other Zoom, et cetera, et cetera. Everything looks very flat. The roof looks flat, over the doors look flat. My question is, as we have snow and as we have ice, how are they protected? I recently moved from a place where we had to put extra protection up in the roofs and up in the attics because nothing was melting. And so the shingles were breaking, the roof was getting holes. By doing some of this other business, we were able to protect our roof and our shingles, and we actually saw, snow and things moving off. So I just want to know, how is this being handled for the fact that the roof is flat, over the doors are flat?
I'm sorry, because you were facing that way, and I couldn't catch all your comments. So
It might, maybe, John, do you want to try to answer? We do have, we have a building with the same style of roof, with a banistered roof, just like that. Maybe, John, you want to talk a little bit about your experience?
I said everything is flat.
okay.
And flat makes me nervous unless there's something that's going to make sure that it just doesn't sit there if there's a heavy snowfall or ice storm.
John Saraceno, I'm with the development team. Are you referring to the roof, like snow sitting on the roof, or snow sitting on the sidewalk and the driveway? I'm confused as to what you're referring to when you're saying flat.
The roof looks flat on your picture.
So you're saying, how are we dealing with the snow that's going to sit on the roof? It's just going to melt naturally and go into the.
So, what I can see is flat. What I can see over the doors.
So what you're not seeing, maybe what you're not understanding, is there is a parapet. So the roof itself sits, the wall above here. If you want to turn this around, I don't know how. So this is a parapet wall. So the roof is actually below this roof line, the top of the roof. So there is, I don't know how many feet.
And what about these?
These are not that deep like this. These are not too deep. So the snow it'll sit on there and just melt off.
But if the ice and the snow.
It'll
they
just
found
shed.
that,
It'll just shed down.
Like we had last winter.
It'll shed down. It's not deep enough to carry snow. It's like
Somebody was talking about insurance and people getting hurt. Let me tell you, I lived in a place, 80 years old.
Yes.
You had this kind of thing happen.
We are property owners. We are accustomed to getting sued on a fairly regular basis.
And this all looks like you have a little ridge.
I don't ask for
and
it.
then it's flat.
Behind this is a
Yes.
flat roof.
Yes, that's what I said.
But I think I don't want to speak for you, Mrs. Silver, but I think she's not really talking about potential safety concerns. I think she's talking about, and correct me if I'm wrong, sort of maintenance concerns. You're talking about maintenance concerns that you were aware of in a previous building, I think, that, you know, leaky roofs and that kind of thing.
Maintenance, yeah, you have to, you know, have gutters and you have to clean off things. But the point is that something can happen on a Friday night to Saturday morning. You're not gonna have somebody there to clean off everything immediately. You're not even gonna know about it, especially if you have renters.
Again, we are property owners. We own property in the city and in Westchester County. We are property owners. We own property in and around Westchester County and in the city. So we deal with this, and we deal with the snow, we deal with the ice on every winter. We have, we work with.
You're telling me that I don't need to wear it.
Yes. We work with staff and companies that come in and maintain all of our parking lots, our sidewalks, our buildings, so there's no issue.
Are they heated?
The sidewalks are not heated, unfortunately, but.
Reminds me, did you notice the sidewalk goes up around, but I didn't see any place for extra parking.
On our site?
Yeah, all I saw was a double door to go into your garage parking.
There's two parking lots. There's this, and then there's one up here. Oh,
I saw this.
no, that's the entrance to the building. Here's the one, and then,
And then here's the other one here, but it's on.
yeah,
And is this an open air parking?
yes.
Yes.
All right, so it would be like guest parking or something.
I wouldn't necessarily say guests. I mean, it's built, you know, I don't.
Residents.
For the residents, I don't know who, you know.
I think because well, there are several rules I've heard about, 1.5 spots per 2-bedroom apartment.
Yeah, we've gone through that with
Yeah,
the planning and zoning
and,
board.
Are you doing gas or oil?
Electric.
Gas or oil?
Electric.
As I said, I come into this very late. Complete electric?
Yeah, there's no gas.
There's no more gas.
You're almost not allowed to do gas anymore.
All electric. Con Ed is gonna love you.
Oh, this way.
Oh, she's going back
Oh,
here.
okay. And just for the record, the thing about being sued all the time was a joke. It wasn't. But it's something we are aware of being property owners, so we're clear.
And do you want to see anyone else?
Yeah, is there anybody else, any other members of the audience that'd like to speak?
Good evening, Frank Sweeney, 22 Lakeview Avenue. Happy New Year, everybody. We appreciate your efforts. Just administratively, Margaret, I'm just trying to determine how many people were noticed on this application tonight?
Property owners within a 200-foot radius of the site boundaries, because of the issues with the notice, you know, for the prior go-around, when it was done a couple of times. I do know that the applicant was very careful to do the notices properly and to coordinate with Carol in my office. I can't tell you off the top of my head how many people, but we did receive the list. We received the mailing receipts, and as I said, my understanding is they were very careful that mistakes weren't made, and my understanding is they even sent a couple of letters internationally.
So you don't have an exact number, but it's...
It's what no, I do not. The law requires that all property owners, including the condo owners, are notified, and within a 200-foot radius.
I guess, can I ask the people from the enclave, or all the people noticed within the buildings?
The law is for a couple of things. Anyone that's here and you know, is considered having been noticed, even if they didn't receive a letter, because you obviously are aware of it. There was an ad in the newspaper. Unfortunately, and I believe it was done prior to this, but our zoning law for the ARB says that the notice shall be postmarked no less than 5 days prior to the meeting. In the planning board and the zoning board, it's no less than 10 days prior to the meeting. And I think sometimes for ARB, that 5-day postmark may not be, people, hopefully everyone received it, and hopefully people did everyone received it, but the law says postmark no less than 5 days prior to the meeting. You just barely made it, and I know.
We did mail it out last week. Well more than 5 days, though.
No, we got it just yesterday.
You received it that day. It wasn't mailed that day.
But I have to receive it by, oh, it has to be posted.
No, it has to be postmarked, so and I think that's an issue with our zoning law. Planning board and zoning board is no less than 10 days postmark. So if somebody goes by the letter of the law, they postmark it 5 days before the meeting, you just hope that the post office gets it to you in time. I do know the applicant did mail it out sooner than that, and as I said, they worked very carefully with Carol in my office, because we were all paranoid about doing it correctly, so.
Just one last question. Was the commercial broker for DeSico's noticed for this meeting tonight?
The property owner would have been noticed.
So if you go to, they have a wonderful system,
Yep.
pass system.
Yep.
You have to go to a terminal.
Yep.
You have to look up every single SBL. So the process starts with getting the list of all the SBLs
Okay.
and the addresses from the county, which gives you every single address. And then you have to go to the pass system, and you have to check for any owners of any properties that are under that. So for 24 Rate Place, there are like 24, yeah, it's like 24 different owners, one in Hong Kong, one in Tokyo, and the rest of them, the bulk of them live in the building, but many of them do not live in the building.
Okay.
And so all the other property owners, there's some Erstad Biddle
Okay.
owns a property, we had to send it to him, he's in Connecticut, we had to send one to CVS, which is in Massachusetts.
Okay.
So yeah, the list is there, it's all, she has the list, it's in the file.
Okay. The only reason I bring it up is we've just come through the holiday season. And as anybody knows that lives in the North End, or anybody who has attempted to go to DeSico's during the Christmas holidays, I'm telling you, you could ride around for a half hour and not find a parking space up on top.
Mr. Sweeney, I think everybody is clear about this, but I don't want to get too off track from, this is here before, has, for better or for worse, already been approved. Okay. Traffic studies, engineering studies have, definitely more to do as conditions of approval with regard to rock removal protocols, that kind of thing. But it's really here before this board for amended architectural review approval. And I just don't want to get too off track on some other things that this board does have zero authority to consider. With regard to anything, with regard to the notice or anything, you are welcome to come into my office, or I can email, fax you things if you're concerned about procedural things. But I think unfortunately for traffic and parking and engineering, that has been addressed, as you know, and those things have been approved. Not to say that before they obtain their building permit, I think you all have copies of the resolution. There are some conditions of approval. We are really on top of those to make sure that those will be addressed. We have outside consultants that are looking at the architectural drawings, looking at the MEP drawings. I have a structural engineer on board. We have a civil engineer on board. Those are all people representing the town. So I think the purpose of this meeting are just the proposed aesthetic changes to the building, and I want to make sure we concentrate on those to the extent that we can.
I agree. That's fine.
Okay.
I just wanted to bring those up about being notified. We wanted to make everybody aware of it. The gentleman before me said no one knew about it.
Yeah.
And that's kind of scary in town when things are published, and I'm not saying they have to read the papers or they have to read their mail, but the idea is that this is a fairly large, complex project that's going into the North End, and we just like the people to be aware of it. That's all.
Sure.
Anybody else?
Hi, Margaret. Bill Fioravanti, 24 Ray Place. I guess I'll be the last, well, maybe I won't be the last speaker tonight, but quick question. I'm going to keep this to the ARB because I know it's a long night. I know you guys been, thank you for coming tonight. One question I wanted to address to the architecture, and his colleague over here, he said, I know we were talking about the, amendments to the building. He walked around, he said that CVS, the Enclave, the building below, the shingles sort of match the composition of what you know, what they're amending on the building. But what I'm asking is, I mean, we've seen an explosion of building in the past 3-4 years around the whole New York City metro area. I mean, you go to Fleetwood, they built a giant building, I mean, right off the Cross County Parkway. The building is red brick. It, you know, blends in with other buildings in the surrounding communities. I mean, go even in Scarsdale, downtown in Scarsdale, where they built the CVS next to the train station. That building, you know, kind of blends in with Garth Road. They built another building in downtown Scarsdale. That building is red brick. You know, it kind of, you know, goes with the facade of the rest of the community. What I want to ask you guys is there a difference in cost between a white brick and a red brick?
The white brick has been approved.
Right.
And the red brick not approved. So if we were
Yes.
to propose a red brick, it's not a cost issue. It's just, this is what we have. So a change
Okay.
in that kind of material would generate a whole lot of other types of changes to make the design work.
Okay.
We can't just say we'll put up red brick. I don't think anybody's opposed to. The Enclave is a beautiful building.
Right.
Beautiful.
Mm-hmm.
It's a different style of
Mm-hmm.
building. This is a beautiful building. It's a different
Never said
style
it
of
was.
building. It's not red brick. I don't think it would look right as a red brick in the design that it is right now.
Mm-hmm.
But the white brick was approved.
I mean, you know,
You
you,
can't change it
I mean, you go to Hudson Yards, it's a $20 billion project. Everything down there is glass. I mean, you know, I'm not in architecture. I mean, I have 2 degrees from St. John's and MBA in finance. And I could tell you something. I mean, you guys went to college. I mean, those buildings down there all look like they're in the same community. I mean, like these buildings that just, look, on North Avenue, they just built 2 buildings across the street from each other, you know, next to Iona College. And those buildings look identical. You know, this building, like Sean said, this thing looks like it's from a Days Inn down in, you know, down in Orlando. It doesn't look, I mean, down on Tuckahoe Road over here in Tuckahoe, you know, they built a hotel that's a nice building, and yours looks like a hotel. I mean, it plopped down in the middle of a neighborhood. You know, when there was COVID going on, Sean and I went to over 200 houses, blocks and blocks around the area, and I showed them pictures where Sean printed up of this building, and they all said, you know, a lot of them said, this looks like a Days Inn. I said, wait till all this construction comes into the area. I mean, at least have it blend into the community. I mean, you look at Garth Road. Garth Road, all those buildings for years weren't built at the same time, but they all blend in. They look red brick. This looks like, you know, I even had some people from Scarsdale. They were like, wow, this is ridiculous. You're putting this in here. It looks like a hotel. I mean, I'm not saying it's a beautiful building. You guys designed a great building. I'm sure you guys design great buildings everywhere. That's all I'm saying, because I'm keeping it to the ARB. At least have the building, like, coincide. I mean, CVS is red brick. That was built after the Enclave, the building down the hill. So, you know, that's all I have to say. I mean,
I have something to say about that, because this came up the last time. It might have been you as well.
Okay.
Not everybody wants to drive a red car.
I'm sorry?
Not everybody wants to drive a red car.
Okay.
So I honestly, aesthetically, I think this is a very nice building. They did 3D renderings, animation, everything. At this point, you know, this board spent a lot of time going through this, and everything that I like has changed. I mean, I don't mind the white brick. I like the metal roof. I like the metal railings on the outside. The windows, I think the windows have changed also from the original design. They might have been always from the beginning.
Yeah, 100%.
They were. They weren't double hung or potentially.
No changes at all.
No changes. So, I mean, I don't know what the red brick thing is. No, I don't want to live in a red brick house. And I don't think everybody wants to. You know, it's just, everybody has their own taste. Again, no, you know, the most sold cars are black, silver, and white. Somebody hardly ever buys a red car. So I think the red is off the table. It's approved as white. I think we just have to go on, get beyond that and figure out what we want to do to this building to make it the nicest building possible for everybody that lives in that area and Eastchester, for that matter. And honestly, I think everything that's been done, I'm sorry to say, and this is the first time I've probably ever said this since I've been on the board. You know, like, again, we spent a lot of time making sure this building looked a certain way, and everything that we did went out the window. And it's all about value engineering, and we can't say it's not, because the roof is $500,000 less making it in shingle. All the AC units are another $500,000 less than doing the systems on the roof, and the metal railings are another $100,000 savings. So we're trying to cut $1 million off a building that somebody thought it was gonna cost $6 million. But again, unfortunately, we're not the builders, we're not the developers, and we're here for aesthetics. So when somebody presents me a Ferrari and then they come back and they show me a Hyundai, it bothers me. That's my say, as an architect.
My last thing is this, the reason why is it's a rental, you're trying to cut your costs.
Excuse me, sir? No, you're, the microphone, so everybody can hear you.
You just,
Microphone?
you just have to go to the microphone.
Thank you.
We want to hear you.
Silvio, I agree with you 100%.
Sean,
But
where?
at the end of the day, if I'm gonna sit there and look at this,
What's his last name?
I know you need to cut costs, but it's a rental, again, they don't own it, it's a rental. That's why you're not putting the money into it, 'cause it's a rental.
We were just asking, the board was just asking you to come to the microphone.
To the microphone so we can hear you.
Oh, you're, we thought you were leaving because you, okay.
Okay.
I thought you were offended. You're welcome.
I would like to follow up with questions, but not necessarily his questions, but follow up with comments.
Okay, in the microphone.
Respectfully, I'd like, if you're done, I'll go back up.
Sure.
I just want to make sure, because it'd be helpful, if we do have to come back and respond to this, then it'd be helpful to know where we can hone down some of the questions. So there are a number of different changes. One is about the bulkhead height changes. I'm assuming you don't care about that. Do you want it to be taller?
No, the bulk, first of all, aren't the bulkheads just at the elevator and the stairs?
Yeah.
So it's 7% of the whole roof.
Okay.
So that shouldn't be an issue with a homeowner. Okay. It's actually coming down. You don't want something taller, you want it lower. So that, they're eliminating that. That's
a positive.
That's a positive.
But if they go back to the other thing without the louvers, isn't that to put it back on?
I don't think they're gonna go back to that. We're just trying to make the aesthetics.
So,
If we have condensers on the roof, I don't know that we need the stairwell for the bulkheads, but you're gonna have loud condensers on the roof.
That would be loud in the louvers.
The louvers aren't gonna make any noise. The condensers make no noise. I don't think you'll ever hear if there were condensers there, I doubt you're gonna hear them at the enclave.
there's no roof plan here.
But they certainly make
This is a very
more noise
select
than
submission.
the louvers don't make noise.
If I may add, when the consideration was made for this mechanical system change, now that there's no more condensers on the roof, there wasn't a need to have a bulkhead go up to the roof because there's no condensers on it. So we were able to eliminate that stair bulkhead. So there's a positive there in going to this mechanical system. I acknowledge we have louvers, but we've eliminated condensers on the roof that I imagine one would be, more easily, you're able to see them on rooftop as opposed to.
The enclave is higher, so on the top floor.
We're getting so that they're having conversations
Yeah.
and we're having conversations.
Yeah, guys. So if I may ask, because you guys are having an independent conversation.
Yeah.
And we're
I'd
not
like to
involved.
move forward with the other components of the.
So I just have a question because this package that you submitted, it doesn't sort of clearly identify or certainly satisfy some of the questions that I have, and maybe I'm a little bit ignorant, but the bulkhead on the roof was the elevator bulkhead. I thought that was referenced earlier. That was eliminated, so the elevator is not stopping on the roof level, it's stopping on the level underneath, so therefore you don't have to extend it up onto the roof, is that correct?
There's an override, but there isn't a stop on the roof anymore.
Okay, so therefore the elevator bulkhead doesn't have to extend above the roof level. That's,
It's been reduced
okay,
by
so fair enough.
8, 9
Okay,
feet.
but what about, how do you get to the roof then? You also say elimination of stair bulkheads.
So now we have, on the stair at the top level, the code allows for an alternating tread device that gets you up to the roof with a roof hatch.
And how does
So
that?
you can get up to the roof, it's just not with a conventional stair.
How would that work for maintenance issues?
Yeah, how does that work?
It's been done on other properties. It's a stair, and when you get to the top, you open a hatch. You walk up a stair, it's called an alternating tread device. It's kind of doing like if you've done
Stairmaster.
it's like a
Yeah, I
stair
know what it is.
climber. And then you get up to the top, there's a hatch, and then you go up on a roof. And it's code compliant.
Based on whatever sort of limited equipment you have on the roof, is that right? If you were to reintroduce mechanical equipment or any other sort of elements, then it would probably trigger a better stair
And you have to,
access, right?
you have to.
Okay, okay. Okay, so really the half a dozen items, I think, to sort of address the issues that are of most concern to us are the proposed change to the mansard roof, right? Like I'm reading, you know.
Material change, only
right, material change, right? The elimination of all the railings at the windows, right? The addition of this 8-inch circular vents, which I think we've talked about at length.
Well, correct me if I'm wrong, the railings were not on all of the windows. They were only on
So
some of
No,
elimination
some of the,
from the
some of the
approved
front,
ones,
the
yes.
main facade windows, which certainly I think added a sense of character and richness and luxury to the building.
I think that, I can't answer for the applicant right now, but I think that we certainly would be open to, with the understanding that you give some leeway in one area, that we can try to find some leeway in the other area. And if the railings on the windows are something that you feel really are important, that would certainly help us to know that, with the understanding that we'd still be able to do the
Well,
roof shingles changes. And the challenge is, just like every project, this is a luxury building all the same, but there are a lot of costs associated
Okay.
with everything, right? So we're trying to be realistic here.
Listen, I'm just looking to try and summarize what our board, as this collective, is looking to address, and you know, we're certainly not in a bartering situation where we would like this and, you know, you relent on that. That's not where we are. I'm just looking to sort of summarize your list so that we're all on the same page, and that, you know, the remaining board members and our audience members and whoever else is looking at this sort of understands what this board's purview is. And I think that's the objective of what I'm looking to sort of accomplish here. So the elimination of the stair bulkheads from the roof, again, I think the elevator bulkhead is one thing. I think the stair bulkhead is something else. And I think that's as a result of, you know, the ability to be able to use this you know, element. I'm not sure what exactly it's called.
Called the Stairmaster.
Alternating.
Yeah, the alternating tread system, right, is a byproduct of the reduction of the equipment on the roof, right? The elimination of the apartment AC condensers from the roof, again, that's kind of tied into the new air conditioning system that you're proposing. The garage exhaust vents. So I don't think did we talk about that?
No.
No, we do not.
What is that?
I believe you're referring to these openings here. Essentially, there's We have to provide a louver to allow for just exhaust out of the garage.
Okay. So, so that's something that wasn't initially identified and now it is? It's, your comment on your summary is garage exhaust fence. So is that the addition, is that the elimination? It's not really telling us whether it's.
Addition.
The addition.
Yeah, when we went through the construction documents and the engineering part, it was determined that it was required. It's a code requirement.
Right, okay. Okay, so is that just a
Louver.
a louver? Does it have any sort of exhaust fan in the garage? Is that an
It
electric?
gets, again, everything is electric, so again, I don't wanna make it seem as if like there's combustible, you know, like that type of situation. But there would be a fan, and when it gets triggered, it would cause the fan to turn on and exhaust air out.
Okay. Okay. And the other item on your list is the cornices material change from FIPON to EFIS.
Yeah, to my mind, that is a same, look. I know FIPON's PVC look, but in terms of the profile, its treatment, it would be the same. But we're just stating that we're going from FIPON to EFIS.
So
And
it'll have a fit.
honestly, on that one, it's not a monetary issue, saving money. For me, it's a constructability issue, because just the way that this building is set up, we have the FIPON, we like the FIPON, the PVC, the AZAC, different manufacturers.
Right.
But in this application here, we chose to go with EFIS, because it's attachment to the building. And we can attain the look better with EFIS than we could with PVC.
Okay. You know, as part of this sort of design change and the addition of all of the units now being sort of electrified, is there, you know, and I know there's other issues that's not part of this board's purview that the planning board has to weigh in on. Is there a sort of increased load requirement in terms of Con Ed because there's a heavier electrical demand based on this design change?
I don't believe so.
Okay.
I'm not the engineer, but because of the change in the mechanical system,
Yeah,
I don't believe so, no.
okay,
I don't think there's a change in load.
okay. And is there a emergency generator required for this project?
There already is an emergency
Okay.
generator.
Okay, so, you know, there's probably a half a dozen items that we just sort of summarized that I think we have some serious concerns with. And maybe that's too strong of a word, but, you know, there's a substantial difference from what we initially worked hard to sort of get to, right? You would agree?
I'm acknowledging what you're saying.
I got you.
We're here proposing what we'd like to do. And again, I'm gonna defend what we're showing here because in my mind, I feel that we have a very elegant building. I wouldn't no offense to Hyundai, I have one, but I wouldn't classify it as a Hyundai.
Or a Dazen?
What?
Or a Dazen?
No, Daisy.
I have a key, it's correct.
I said, or.
Beautiful.
Yeah, and listen, you know, we worked, you know, diligently to try and, you know, get it to this point, and listen, I agree with a lot of the comments that have been kind of shared on both sides tonight, and, you know, I'm certainly, as a member of this board, not looking to, you know, sort of, you know, bang my fist and say this is the way it has to be, and, you know, like it or lump it, right? That's not the case, and you know, we're not looking to sort of say we want this or else. But there needs to be some, there needs to be some common ground here. And, as was said earlier, we want this to be the best, best looking building it can be, as I'm sure you do as the developer, and as I'm sure you do as the architect.
Same thing.
Right.
I fully agree with everything you're saying. I mean, I'm not disagreeing with anything.
So, there is work to be done, right? I think everybody acknowledges that. There are still some hurdles that you guys have to cross in terms of the planning board, because there are some other changes that the planning board will have to review and sort of comment on. But we would certainly like to see some of the elements that existed on this building before tonight's presentation. We would like to see those sort of come back in.
I was just going to say to just kind of, yeah, it sounds to me kind of like Silvio said right off the bat, the three major, nobody wants to see the bulkheads and things, so that's not an issue unless they have to put them back.
Right.
But so I think the three major things, and the major thing seems to be the material change to the roof. The elimination of the railings, I have a feeling that's something that the applicant might go back and reconsider. The addition of the louvers, that sounds like something that they can potentially redesign, which would be a compromise because you're eliminating the bulkhead, you're eliminating the potential noise of the mechanical equipment, and you're making it more aesthetically pleasing. So I think they may be able to come back with something that shows railings and a redesigned louvers.
Yeah.
I bet you the sticking point is going to continue to be the roof. And so, unless they come back and say we're doing everything that we previously proposed, in which case it's not amended architectural review approval too much anymore. But, so in that case, I do think you have to be pretty clear that you're not comfortable with the asphalt shingled roof. And what happens, unless they come back with an alternative that you do approve of, then you would refer it to the planning board with a strong recommendation not to approve the material change. I don't think, it sounds like we're really down to 3 items.
Right, exactly.
2 of which they're probably going to be able to satisfy some of
Right.
your concerns, the third of which may be a big sticking point, and then it's kind of punted to the planning board.
Yeah,
With
exactly.
a strong recommendation one way or the other.
Yeah, like, I think, and again, this is my opinion, I would be willing to move this forward to the planning board, but you would really need to look to satisfy, those 3 items. The roof being the biggest one. I think the railings are, that's a no-brainer. And I think you need to look at something, better and lineal, and something that works with the elevations in terms of the lineal grills.
I
where
think
they're-
the lineal grills should come back to you
Yes.
guys. I know it sounds like we're only down to 3 things, and
I think
we
it
don't
should
want to
come
slow
back.
down the project at all, but there's
Okay.
a lot of work to be done anyway. I really think that you should feel satisfied, so that when you do refer it to the planning board, you may be down to 1 issue.
Yeah.
That's what
The one, obviously, we do want to do the asphalt roof, and, but I think we're certainly open to some sort of different architectural style of asphalt roof. Obviously, we've shown you a couple here. But it would be helpful to have a better understanding
You're set in stone with asphalt.
We'd really like to do asphalt. The next step up from asphalt,
Synthetic slate?
metal, slate. Synthetic slate is basically the same price as real slate. So it's not much cheaper. It's labor intensive. It's a different style. So synthetic slate is not cheap by any stretch. I think that real slate lasts 100 years, and synthetic slate is now rated to last 50 years. It's very high quality. So it comes with a cost, an extremely high cost, and that's a labor cost.
The labor cost is not, it's the material cost, not the labor cost. Because synthetic slate is plastic. It has no weight to it. It's nailed up very quickly. I've done a million houses with synthetic slate. And I mean, if you're gonna buy a very good architectural shingle, you're gonna spend $1.70, $2 a square foot. Synthetic slate might be $5, $6. So you're talking about a $4 square foot difference times, what's your square footage of your roof, for example? 3,000? You're talking about 5,000? You're talking about $20,000 difference, for example. The labor is not that much more money. But I'm just trying to give, you know, the metal roof maybe was a lot more money.
I think we can look, we can take this back, do some homework, see if we can come up with another design here that might mirror or mimic what we originally had, and we can look at the synthetic slate, not the real slate, and see if we can come up with something that.
Something that has more, you know, dimension, more architectural detail, like the metal roof, you know, you had the shadow lines, you had, I know, that's probably more money than the synthetic slate, the metal roof, and that's probably more labor intense.
Yes.
The way, you know, it's a beautiful roof.
Those are individual pieces.
Yes.
I know.
Yeah.
Like,
The metal
Ri-
pieces
Ri-
are,
Ri-
I think the
Ridge Hill
synthetic
has a lot of
slate,
detail.
my understanding is synthetic slate is also individual pieces.
No, they are.
Yeah.
Synthetic slate is.
Yeah, every single one is individually
Right,
never done.
right.
But we can take a look at that and see if we can come up with an alternative. Yeah, I'm not sure with regards to Louver, I do know that the company, and this is a company that, a system that we're gonna see more and more now. I do know in New York State, when you do certain projects, you can't do gas. Everything is going to be electric.
My only, I'm sorry, my only issue with the louver is, you know, you have this round element, not everywhere, so it's not consistent. So, like you mentioned, if in the brick you could do, you set the louver, the brick, the 8 inches of brick across the entire window is either, you know, set back
Proud
or painted, you know, painted black, and then a metal grill goes over it, so you lose the round grill, and it's completely the same size of every window, so it all looks uniform.
Right.
He's the architect, so we're gonna, you know, look at him and tell him. But I think that we're open to changes, obviously. I think that the initial thought process with respect to this board was we wanted to do the minimal sort of impact option. So we presented something that we thought would have the minimal amount of change to the approved plan. What you're proposing is something that's gonna have a little bit more significant change. It's gonna require more thought
Right now, you have a lot of
process.
symmetry. You have the same, it's a mirror image. You have, now you're gonna have, you know, this side's gonna have louvers, this side's not gonna have louvers. The size of a can of paint, the top of a can of paint. That's all, I mean, you're gonna notice them. They're probably bigger than a can of paint, actually. They're 10 inches. Can of paint's probably 8 inches. So,
Yeah, but I just don't think it's in the character of,
Of the building.
you know.
I think it just cheapens the building.
It does.
Somebody had mentioned the Fleetwood building earlier, I don't know.
Okay. I was.
But the Fleetwood building actually has the same system, HVAC system, and it has the same, you know, louvers and this is, I believe, a product you're going to see now more and more in multifamily buildings. Because you're getting away from gas, you're getting away from central plants. Every unit is going to have its own heating and hot water systems, and that's just the way it's going to be in every multifamily building moving forward. You know, and, you know, is this, you know, in a perfect world, you know, we want to see this, but it is much better than a heat unit. It's much better than, you know, a 2x3 grill that you see in a lot of buildings that do that. And there's nothing I despise more than a PTEC unit. And this system and the system itself, you know, when you go home and take a look at it, I think it's EPHOCA.
Yeah.
It's actually, it's attractive, it's crazy to sound, even on the inside, it's not as offensive as a PTEC unit. You know, in your mind, you're thinking it's going to look like that, and it's actually it's a pretty decent looking piece of equipment, whereas, you know, you look at this or a PTEC unit, and it's just like, oh, this is awful.
We're not really concerned about what it looks like inside,
I-
unfortunately.
But
We want it to be,
the truth is,
we want it to be all uniform.
I am concerned about what it looks like.
Right, I understand.
Because
I understand that.
at the end of the day, you want to rent these, and, you know, with PTAC units, you're sitting in your room 2.5 feet, you can't put anything in front of it, so you lose all that wall space, you lose that furniture space. This is a completely different setup, so it's not as obtrusive or offensive as a P-TAC unit would be in a building or an apartment.
Just want to circle back. The manufacturer does offer a louver that's rectangular that can be put into brick. At first, we thought, like, why don't we show the circle because it seemed less obtrusive at our first glance at it. We'll go back and take another look. But, to make a custom item that stretches the whole size of the window, because the way that these louvers work, they're intended to fit like right in tandem with the unit itself. And they make a rectangular unit that encompasses both of these circular louvers.
I don't know if that system works with a ceiling mounted system. It's the only thing with it. It might only work.
Make some sleeves.
My concern is that we might be getting into like a custom solution to have it work, and just have to see how that ends up working out.
Can I ask one question?
Sure.
Just to clarify what this gentleman was saying, so I don't understand, I'm not an engineer, so you're saying that the air conditioning or the AC heat unit, so I don't understand, each unit inside the apartment is going to be like having like a house, like when you go to a house now, they have small little water tanks, the water tanks are smaller than not the, yeah, I don't understand.
Fully fleshed out what the hot water situation is going to be, but each unit will have its own everything.
Oh.
So
Because
there's
I
not
was,
central plants that
Right.
provides hot water to every unit. Every unit will have their own hot water system, their own heating and cooling system.
so sometimes won't that also be more having, like, there could be more leaks? If you have like, I've seen it in townhouses where they have the hot water unit on the second floor and there's been leaks and, no.
It's a system that it's a situation
Okay.
we've done and we've dealt with, and can you have leaks? Yes, but
I don't think they're gonna wind up there being tanks per se. They're gonna probably be.
Yeah, no, I've never seen that, and it's a rental
Because,
unit.
somebody could overflow their bathtub also.
Right. No, I just didn't understand that this new system he was so I didn't, I just, okay, that's it.
Okay. All right, so I think we're sort of unanimous here that, we would want to see this application return to this board. And we would certainly like you to address the sort of three major issues, one major issue and the other sort of secondary issues that we've spoken about in detail this evening. So hopefully, you've sort of taken all of the comments on board, and you can come back to us with something that, we can look favorably upon and hopefully be in a position to pass you on to the planning board for their review and consideration. Is that fair?
I understand.
Yeah, I think it's a requirement, so
A
you'll
requirement.
come back, you're adjourned to the February 2nd meeting.
Okay, all right, very good. Yeah. No, we're not going to close it.
Oh, no, you keep it open, definitely, you have to, yeah. Okay, are you?
So do we, that concludes our
Yeah,
agenda
you
items
just-
for this evening?
That's right. You just-
Okay.
Do we close the?
A motion to adjourn the
No,
meeting.
we'll leave it open.
Leave it open.
So that being the case, I'd like to make a motion to close our January 5th ARB meeting. Do I have a second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Okay, the meeting is now adjourned.